A very warm good evening to all of you. I welcome back everyone to the fourth day of our webinar series on the occasion of World Breastfeeding Week. I, Ayushi, on behalf of Nutrition Group of Sitara, IIT Bombay, am welcoming all of you again in this webinar to celebrate World Breastfeeding Week. As many of you must already know that we members of Nutrition Group in our Center for Technology Alternatives for Rural Areas, Sitara, IIT Bombay, have taken up a few activities to protect, promote, support, and encourage breastfeeding to improve health of young children as envisaged during inception of World Breastfeeding Week based on the joint memorandum by WHO and UNICEF. Our spoken tutorial on guiding nursing mothers about breastfeeding techniques are highly appreciated in this regard. This 7-day webinar series is also one among such activities to stand by this year's call on support breastfeeding for healthier planet. In last 3 days of our webinar, 6 eminent speakers have already spoken on various aspects of exclusive breastfeeding, such as significance to ensure exclusive breastfeeding for boosting up immunity, especially during the present pandemic by Professor Satish Agnihotri, Emeritus Professor Sitara IITB, importance of early initiation of breastfeeding and need of breast crawl in this regard by Dr. Taru Jindal, renowned pediatrician, on first day of our webinar. On the second day, we listened to Dr. Dhadich from Breastfeeding Promotion Network of India on a very important aspect, IMS Act and its various sections, violation being generally seen, measures of action on violation, convergence with other national regulatory authorities. Followed by Dr. Umesh Khurana's recorded session on kangaroo mother care and management of low birth weight babies. On the third day, we had with us Dr. Sylvia Fernandez Rao from National Institute of Nutrition, Hyderabad, who talked about importance of counseling for effective young child feeding. Followed by a pre-recorded session of Dr. Manju Bala Das, who shared in length about her experiences in counseling mothers and caregivers and emphasized on the importance of enabling supportive and good environment to promote breastfeeding by mothers. You may follow our Facebook page and YouTube link to refer those presentations further. Coming back to today's program, we are extremely delighted to have with us Dr. Rupal Dalal as an eminent speaker for today's webinar. She will be talking about different perspectives on child's growth during breastfeeding period through her experiences and evidences gathered in past few years on reducing malnutrition using effective breastfeeding counseling skills. Dr. Rupal Dalal is currently working as Adjunct Associate Professor in Center for Technology Alternatives for Rural Areas, IIT Bombay, and she is also a technical advisor for Health Spoken Tutorial in IIT Bombay. She did her MD in Pediatrics from Cook County Children's Hospital in Chicago. She also served as a pediatric urgent care provider in Santa Clara Valley Medical Center in California. She is a specialist in the area of health and nutrition management of the children in first 1,000 days of life, lactation education, pediatric medicine, and management of child malnutrition. More so, she is the main driver and motivation that Nutrition Group Sitara is celebrating World Breastfeeding Week for the first time and shall take it forward in subsequent years with her guidance. We welcome you, ma'am. Before starting the presentation, I would continue the ritual of mentioning the housekeeping rules that we are following here. Everybody in the audience has been muted to have better clarity in telecast of the webinar. You can post your queries in the chat section, which will be addressed at the end of the speaker's presentation. We will have 20 minutes for the presentation by the speaker, followed by 10 minutes for discussion. Thank you all. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ayushi. Actually, you know, this whole movement is driven by Professor Agnihotri, really. So I really I'm thankful to him that he's the force behind all of us. So that's important to understand. I'm going to start sharing my screen.
Ma'am, can you please turn on your video?
Oh, my video? Okay. Is it okay now?
Yes, sir.
Can you see my slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So basically my topic today, actually it's my favorite topic, different perspective on child's growth. Because past 14 years I have not done anything but just monitoring growth in children, not only in urban slum, but also in rural areas, tribal areas. So this topic is very close to my heart, and we have monitored the children just on basically mother's nutrition, breastfeeding and complementary foods, and that specially made at home. Because we never gave any supplementary food. Of course, if child came as ma'am, we would give them some. We would make some, chicky in our clinic. But otherwise, all these children, normal children, we would just basically encourage mothers making all these nutritious recipes at home, and we monitored these children over a period of 3-4 years. So okay, so I want to begin with saying that this is a beautiful slide which my colleague in US always she uses, and I just really like it. It's basically life and thriving is about growth. Do we start small? Do we start large? Do we end up small? Do we end up large? All the problems and all the good things along the way ultimately leave a mark on our bodies and on our mind. So this is what, this is the brain which looks like at 32 weeks of age. This is at 36 gestational age, and at 40 weeks of gestational age. And it's this brain is one of the most important part, and we can really make a difference in child's long-term perspective, on child's IQ, child's struggle, child's prosperity, by just kind of really focusing on this first 1,000 days. Okay. When we talk about growth, we have to understand what is optimum growth, because unless we understand optimum, we don't know where we are, right? So for that optimum growth, basically the whole world follows WHO growth charts, which are basically taken from 6 different continents, and they followed all these children over a period of time, over five-year period. And what they found is if the health was taken care of, if child had access to immunization and good sanitation, and all these babies who were breastfed, they all grew at the same rate. It did not matter whether child came from developed countries or child came from India. So one of the country was India also. So basically all over the world, even in US, under 5 years, we use WHO growth charts, just like in India. After 5 years of age, in India, we used IAP growth chart, but here basically, we focus on WHO because our focus was first 1,000 days. Okay, so if you look at this growth chart, this is for girls. This is weight for age. Generally, in pediatrics, we use percentile growth chart, because for individual child, we want to see basically where this child, height or weight kind of fall, and we look at basically 50 means 50% of the children of the world should be on this green line. 15% generally you see the children fall on this particular line, 15% children, and third percentile is basically 3% of children are either on this line or below this line. So only basically 3% of the children in the world should be probably falling on this third percentile or below that. Okay, and subsequently for bigger children, almost 50% children would be falling on 85th percentile. That means 85% children are below this line, and then 3% children will fall on this line or above that line. So those are bigger children. And if you again look at, this is a girl's growth chart, weight for age. If you look at the 50 percentile at birth, so here it falls, you can make out that basically the birth weight of, by and large, 50% of children in the world, the birth weight should be 3.2 kg. So if you look at it, and if you look at a lot of this data coming from India, the average birth weight of a child in India is 2.7 kg. Okay, so if you plot those babies 2.7 at birth, they have already fallen below 15 percentile. So we start small, and that is because of maternal nutrition. So if again we focus on maternal nutrition, we can bring those weight up. Okay, so again 1 month around 1 kg, second month 1 kg weight gain, third month they start slowing down. So the weight gain is about 800 to 900 grams. And then by 6 months of age, their weight gain is not much. After 6 months, it's only 250 grams per month. Okay, so this is important, that whatever time that you have, the growth catch up occurs most of the time within 3 to 4 months of age. And that's what we saw in our program also. Same thing for boys. Same thing for boys, the birth weight is about 3.3 kg. At 6 months, they become around 8 kg. This is average. I'm talking about average because we want our average numbers to be there. Okay, and by 1 year of age, they are about 9.5 kg. So this is boys chart. Okay, now this is okay, this is basically tabulation that we have taken from WHO growth chart for a male child. So if you look at it, these are age in week. So if you look at week-wise data, basically they gain significant amount of weight in first 7 to 8 weeks. So the average weight gain per week or per day is 42.8 grams, 42.8 grams. This will make your child stay on that percentile line. This is for average, okay? Okay, now this is NFHS4 data, which shows basically that most of your children between 0 to 2 months of age, most of your SAM children are between 0 to 2 months of age. So look at the number of children, 34.3% children are acutely malnourished. Means basically children are born small and they haven't caught up, you know, and that's why and if they are not catching up and if they're faltering, then the first thing which will go down is your weight. Okay, and that's when basically you will see a lot of children becoming sandman. They will be underweight, and then basically something slowly and steadily starts you know, setting in. But by the time child is 1 to 2 years of age, you know, with ineffective breastfeeding techniques and also by like ineffective complementary feeding, you know, then basically stunting sets in, and you can see that by 1 to 2 years of age, our 43% children, 44% children are already stunted by the time they are 2 years of age. And this children, stunted children, have a poor IQ. They basically, you know, don't do well in school, and there are high dropouts by 8th or 9th grade. So to kind of save their brain, it is very important that we start working from pregnancy or pre-pregnancy nutrition and then first year of age. Absolutely extremely important. This is your exclusive breastfeeding rate for NFHS4 data. This is the light green is your NFHS4 and the dark blue is your NFHS3. So as you can see, initially, I mean, every mother wants to breastfeed. It's not that they don't want to breastfeed, but as you can see that as children start growing up, you know, more and more children start getting more other things besides breast milk. So, you know, it starts going kind of down, and by the time they are 6 to 8 months, you know, I mean, at least by 6 months, only 41% children they exclusively breastfed. This is again data for under 5 years. I don't want to go too much. I think we all know it. This slide is very important. That, you know, we always feel that, oh, malnutrition means poor children. That's not true. This is NFHS4 data as for wealth quintile. So the highest quintile children, you know, highest wealth quintile children, 22% children are undernourished. These are richest children in India. Okay, so that means there is some definitely, it's not just lack of food. It's probably lack of awareness, you know, lack of understanding of growth nutrients in the food, lack of understanding of how to breastfeed. And this is, and if you look at the middle and upper middle class, you know, almost middle class is 30%, and up, you know, like the lower, even the upper middle class is almost 25 to 26%. So it's, you know, and most of us are basically middle class, and so we have 30%, every third child is malnourished. Why every mother needs help? This is important to know. Mothers need help not only in India, not only in Mumbai, or you know, elite mothers or educated mothers or tribal mothers. Even in US, they need help. Okay, so this is one very good kind of study which was done in UC Davis Hospital. This is University of California, Davis, one of the best center to have children born there, you know. And what they saw, they took about 532 children, first time mothers, and they have access to lactation consultant 24/7. Okay, even the nurses are trained in lactation consultation. So if you look at mothers, 92% of the new mothers had at least one breastfeeding concern. Okay, now when you have lactation consultant all the time at your disposal, and still mothers are complaining, what are the complaints? 52% said not feeling well at breast, 44% shared breastfeeding pain, and 40% mothers felt that they had perceived lack of sufficient milk. So if this is the issue in America, and most of the mothers by day 7, they basically started formula feed. So the formula feed was very high, despite of being, consulted by lactation consultant. So what is the issue? I mean, when you have, we feel that, okay, if we have consultant, we will be fine, and breastfeeding will go well. But probably there was some issue. Let's see, why is mother's milk? Again, a lot of people have mentioned about it, so I'm not going to go too much in detail. This is all the latest data. Some of this data is basically Indian data. Some of this data, this asthma and celiac disease and all that is basically from international studies. So basically what I feel is the reason so many mothers are failing, not only in India, but also abroad, is lack of technical skills. So proper skills that probably, they don't understand exactly how baby to be breastfed, So when I started working in slums, for first 4-5 years, we were not getting very good results. Okay, we had really good support program. In a sense, we had software, we had Veracross or Salesforce software, customized software. So every time baby came in, we took weight, age, height, everything, length, and it was automatically kind of plotted on the growth chart. We had a cloud-based program. So, even if I was in US working, I could monitor each and every child. And over 4-5 years of time, we realized that whatever we were saying, it's not that mothers were not doing. Mothers were doing it, but still the weight gain, children were falling off the growth curve. And that was not acceptable really for all of us. So, and then we realized as we started learning, observing and kind of problem solving, we call it problem solving, why these babies are not gaining weight, we realized that we learned many, many things. Okay. So a few things that we learned is basically that most of the mothers were nipple latching. Okay, even though areola is a dark part, so basically areola, the lower areola has to be in mouth as per WHO guideline. One of the latching points is that lower areola should be asymmetrical latch, so the lower areola should be in the mouth. But in these children, we noticed that it was more of an upper areola going in the mouth, or it was equal, both upper and lower going equally in the mouth. That was putting the nipple more in the middle of the mouth rather than nipple facing up, so that was a problem. Third thing, what we noticed is that the neck was flexed. So the neck was flexed. So when you suppose putting your neck or kind of head down, what you will notice is basically it's very difficult to swallow. So we saw, but most of these babies' neck were flexed. So we were wondering probably they were having difficulty swallowing. Okay, so we figured out that problem. Then what we also felt that full body support was not given. A lot of time the body was twisted. So the neck was twisted. It was like putting your thali in the side and it kind of bending your neck, and eating. So we felt that was again difficult to swallow. Another thing what we noticed that most of these mothers had no clue about hunger cues. They were waiting for babies to cry and then breastfeed. They were feeding very infrequently, so rather than 8 to 12 times, a lot of them were feeding 6 times, 7 times, and again, even if the latch was good, we felt that baby was still kind of a little bit further away, that baby had to really kind of work hard to get that milk out, so that was one thing that we noticed. Here, this is one video. This is the issue in India. So most of these babies are nipple latching. This is nipple latch, okay? Now let's see what happens when there's areola latch. Look at the difference. So if we can basically get that areola latch, proper lower areola latch, we will not see SAM-MAM stunting under 6 months, I guarantee. So here, this is another thing what we noticed. This is another technicality. I don't want to go too much in detail because I need to show some of my data. But here, what happens is like when you're eating something, right, you always kind of, if it's really big in size, the way you're going to hold that is basically you keep your kind of fingers parallel to your lips. Okay, only then you'll be able to press it smaller and you will be able to have a bigger bite. Okay, so this is how normally it should be. And this is what we had to figure out, because we were not, it was not given in any textbook or anything, you know. So similarly, same thing happened is, you know, here is your lips. So here you have to basically put your fingers parallel to your lips to have a bigger bite. So in basically most of the position, babies were coming horizontal. Okay, so babies are even cradle hole, crest cradle hole, babies are kind of pretty much horizontal. So we realized that mother needs to press the breast vertical to baby's lips, and that's when latch. Okay, but this is not what we were saying in the this is another video. We don't okay, let me just show it. So here, see, doctor is holding the baby mother's breast from top. So U shape. Look at the fingers, they are parallel to baby's lips. If you can look at the fingers over here, see how they're parallel. Now this mother has a retractile nipple. So what doctor is trying to do is to make it smaller. So as soon as baby opens, then basically it pushes. So this is the U-shaped hold where doctor is holding from the top. Okay. Okay. But what we see in the field, we saw that instead of basically keeping fingers parallel to lips, mothers were keeping fingers vertical. Okay, so it was perpendicular. It was perpendicular to baby's lips. This is what we saw all the time. All the mothers were doing C-shape. Okay, but babies are horizontal. So here what you're doing is basically you're increasing the length over here, and it is impossible to have that kind of making the areola small. All the babies were landing up with just a nipple in the mouth. Okay, and that was a cause of poor latch, poor milk transfer, I call it. Okay, and look at, I mean, most of this pictures which are sent out in government, they all have this kind of perpendicular fingers holding breast everywhere. Even this finger perpendicular to lips, finger should have been here to make it dipper. Okay, even some of these articles or some of this guideline which shows that you express milk, but the way you express milk is given wrong. This is not how the milk will be expressed. For milk expression, there are basically three steps which are very important: press, compress, release. Press, compress, release. So if mother is trying to remove some milk to see whether she has milk or not, if she did not do it right, milk did not come out, and she felt that she did not have enough milk. So this is also again very important to understand. So this is how we came across this cross-cradle hole with 45 points, and we took care of all these issues that we were facing in the field. And eventually through our software, we realized that when we were saying all these points, children were gaining just amazing amount of weight. So here, we showed mothers how to hold. It was much easier in cross-cradle hold to extend the neck, to get the chin forward, all these things, much better to control baby's kind of head, also showed mothers how to hold the breast. So make basically U-shape, this is completely different than what they're used to seeing, everywhere, or most of us kind of trained on cradle hold. But, in cradle hold, unfortunately, we were not getting good results. Okay. And here also we showed them exactly where should be the finger. Like when you know about that, very famous quote is like, when you see 10,000 babies, or when you basically do something 10,000 times, you become expert. I don't think I've done 10,000 times, but I can tell you for sure 5,000 times I've already taught. And we realized that when you put three fingers away from nipple, that's where your tip of the fingers are. That was the perfect contouring of areola. If we put it 4 fingers, it was much bigger. When we were putting 2 fingers, only nipple was going in the mouth. So then this is what one of the points that we put in the 45 points is like, exactly do it correctly, like engineering. If you do this, you will not go wrong. Okay. So here, this is again showed how to make baby open the mouth. Again, this was very important because one of the most common problem that mothers are facing, that, oh, babies are not opening mouth. Babies are not opening mouth. So we taught them how to have a chin forward, and then basically, kind of stimulate upper lip, and baby will open the big mouth. And another thing we really, really focus is where is the location of the lower lip. Because if the location of the lower lip was at the border of areola or even beyond it, and the upper lip was just sitting above the nipple, those babies were gaining amazing amount of weight. Okay, so again, we put that up that, there are 4 points in latching. So this 1 point we added, that look at the location of the lip, and if mother has to look at the latch, because unless she looks at the latch, or the doctor or nurse or whoever is field worker, if they don't look at the latch and they say no, baby is fine, those babies will not gain weight. So we make sure that they understand where to press the breast to look at the latch. Okay, now chin embedding was very, very important, because what happened when the chin was a little bit further away, those baby had to pull really hard and they had dimpling. Okay, so once the latch is kind of seen properly and latch is good, we tell mothers to push the baby more into the breast. Okay, so baby was so close to the breast that there were no lips were seen. And that is another important point in our latching. So this is again, good latch, bad latch. Again, there were a few important points which mothers didn't know, that the hind milk has a lot of fat. So we had to kind of put it in a 45 points to teach mother that, okay, hind milk is important. That means you completely empty one breast and then go on the other side. So, and again, we did not want to be subjective, because when you say subjective, that, okay, breast is empty. So for one mother, it could be empty. For another mother, it could be probably not empty. So what we did, we again put an objective criteria that you basically express a little bit of milk. If there is water, means there's a little bit more, like a lot of hind milk is there. If it is hind milk, like a thick milk coming out in force, means there's still some amount of thick milk left. Okay, so we kind of showed her that this is how you should basically understand whether you have hind milk or not. Now, hind milk, because of fat, is very important for weight gain and also important for basically brain. Okay, another thing we also explained to mothers about burping the baby in sitting position. Like in US, all the babies are burped in a sitting position starting from 400-gram weight baby. So we have a lot of prematurity over there. So even those babies, we burp them in a sitting position. The reason being that the burp came out within a minute. Okay. Second thing, what we noticed that all these babies, they immediately open their eyes, especially kind of full term or even a little bit premature. They became so alert, that again they were ready to breastfeed. So normally what happens in India, I see that a lot of babies are kind of put on the shoulder. So shoulder pe kya hota hai ki mother goes to sleep, baby goes to sleep, and then there's just half amount of breast milk going in the baby. So once we started doing this, again we started seeing really good results. These are early hunger cues, how many times to feed in the night, all that. Growth period, we talked about growth period also, because so many times what happens in the growth spurt, baby needs more milk. And mother feels that, oh my God, my breast supply, milk supply is going down. So they start formulas. So we do this anticipatory guidance from beginning. We tell them by 2 weeks, baby will need more milk. You feed more times, make sure the milk transfer is good. So this way in anticipatory guidance, mothers, they understand exactly what to do. So we tell them before it happens. Okay, now the results. Okay, so I will go kind of individual wise. Then I'll go, program wise, and then I'll go block wise, and then I'll go district wise. Okay, so let's see from one child to population level. Okay, so here this is one growth chart. This is weight for age. This is height for or length by age. This is basically, male child. This is WHO growth chart. As I said, we want all the children on 50th percentile or above. If above, amazing. Okay, so this child came to us at 3 months of age. Birth weight was 3 kg, 3.2 kg, so perfectly born, super birth weight, but for 3 months, baby did not gain weight. So do you see, just from green line to come to basically last line or less than last line, it takes just maybe a couple of 3 or 4 weeks, sometimes just maybe a month or two, when they really fall down because they don't have a lot of fat, so the fat store is not there. So if baby is not getting enough proper breastfeeding, they start losing their muscle mass so much. And once they start losing muscle mass, the second thing which gets affected is their height. So if you look at it, both weight for age and length for age, both of them were pretty low when he came to us. Now, as we started teaching mother the proper technique of breastfeeding, you can see the weight is going up. As the weight is going up, the length is going up. Okay, so it basically coincides with baby's length and weight. At around 2 months of age, 2 years of age, you can see that he has reached almost 85th percentile. Now this child is almost now 6-7 years old. He's 85th percentile for both weight and length. So that means the BMI is normal. He's not fat. He's lean and tall. Okay. So this is important. We want length and weight to go together, because if you have only weight going up and not length, those children will become obese. Or if you have length, sometimes length goes faster, but if length is growing very fast, these children are metabolically very healthy. So you don't have to worry too much about the weight, because if you look at the Sam Mam picture, when you look at the, your standard deviation, these children may look like, oh my God, this is Mam, but you have to, it's not cross-sectional, it's longitudinal. The child is growing beautifully like this. The children are not at risk of anything. In fact, they don't even get infection. It's just that they're catching up so fast on the growth that they probably need a little bit extra, good fats in the diet to increase the calorie. One thing we make sure that even after 6 months, we never give sugar or jaggery ever since I started the program. So since 2007, we told mothers, do not add sugar, do not add jaggery in any of the children's food. So what happened, all that calorie was coming from nutrient dense food. Okay, so breastfeeding is absolutely important, but 6 months ke baad kya khana dena hai, wo bahut important hai, because if you don't, then the children will not grow in height. Look at this, after 6 months, this child went up by percentile. Again, if you keep looking at it, it's all, look at the growth going up. All these children are above American standard. Okay, American children are not that tall in such first 1,000 days. And this is slum children. So this is weight going up. Look at the height going up, 97 percentile. So only 3% children in the world are of his height. Okay, this is a male child. And this is, he's definitely going to be Amitabh Bachchan for sure. Again, look at all this, above the 50th percentile, going up, This is another very important growth chart. It's basically twin girls had come to us. When they had come to us, if you look at they both are length by age, because again, I believe a lot more in length rather than weight. Okay, so when both of them had come to us around 2.5 months of age, they were severely stunted. But they were so short, like I never thought I would be able to bring them out, because when they're so short, that means the insult has occurred during first trimester. Okay, and then baby had just not grown over a period of 8-9 months. So, but again, we did not give up. We kind of kept calling them back. We taught them, football hold. At 6 months, we taught them what food to give at home, all these powders that mothers made. And then look at this, eventually by 3 years of age, those children came on 15th percentile. We saved their IQ, really, to be frank, and then now they're about probably 8 years of age, and, both of them are 50th percentile. Some of the chart. Okay, now those are individual children. Now the same program, we wanted to look at that, okay, how did overall children did, So overall children, what we did, basically we took one cohort where, so we had this area that we were working in, we had a lot of migrant population because it was Dhobi Ghat. So what they would do, they would come, mothers and children would come like few months a year and they would go back into villages, So we used to have a lot of dropouts, but then we also had few children who continued to come to our program, religiously for 3 years, right? So we took one cohort, this 286 children, we basically took them because they at least came for till end of 1 year. And all these children had started coming to us under 6 months of age. Okay, so we wanted to see that basically in, an average admission was about 2 months of age. So most of the children, they came around 2 months of age. Some of them came at birth, some of them came a little bit at 3 months of age, but average basically admission was about 2 months of age. So initially, and then of course, with breastfeeding counseling, with complementary feeding, all that, you can see the results. 66% reduction in SAM just by teaching them proper 45 points. Okay, wasting came down. Underweight came down pretty significantly, 67 severe underweight. Okay, underweight 47.4% reduction. Severe stunting came down. Now, stunting is very difficult, as I said, but as they started growing beautifully, the reversal of stunting was so easy, actually. Now we took out of those children, 8 children came up to 2 years of age. Okay, so now we wanted to see that, okay, those children who came to us for even 1 more year, what happened to their stunting and all this malnutrition indicators. And we saw basically stunting, came down by 28%. In India, basically they want 2% reduction every year. Okay, so here in 2 years, look at the reduction from 40% to 28.8%. So almost 12% reduction in 2 years. So you can imagine what we can do. We can eliminate stunting, really, and severe stunting came down by 50%. So pretty good. Okay, one more thing I wanted to show you over here. Look at the wasting level went up. Remember I told you, many times what happens when the children, they become tall, they become lean and tall. Okay, so if they are growing tall and if they are metabolically healthy, we don't need to give them anything like some EDNF and all this, because those are so high in sugar and oil. We will make these children metabolically unhealthy. Okay, so I don't recommend giving anything which will cause any metabolic problem. Okay, because these children are absolutely healthy. Okay, and severe wasting again came down by 40%. So now block level data. This is Banaskantha district. I really appreciate Dr. Fancy. I mean, I have so much respect for him, because it's one thing to kind of, in a small program that you show these results, because there is a very good follow-up, in a small NGO, we have doctors, nurses, everybody. But to kind of do this kind of program at a district level where you have 13 blocks, only Dr. Fancy can do it. Okay, otherwise we won't see the result. So here, Dr. Fancy, what we did, we basically spoke about this protocol where we said that, of course, we only trained Department of Health, and in fact, they were not trained by us. They were trained by another medical officers from nearby district, Sabarkantha, where we had done training last year. Okay, so when he moved to Banaskantha, he said, okay, now I want to train all these my medical officers. So that's what he did. He took some medical officers to Sabarkantha district, got them trained on latching on 45 points, and then brought them back and then say, okay, now I want to see how these children are doing under medical officers, because then even medical officers train ANMs, because as I said, that latch is very important to learn in first 2 weeks. Because if baby gets used to superficial latching or nipple latching, forget it. It's very difficult to put them back. So then that's why we said, let's train medical officers. So now here we have this protocol where baby would be checked every 2 or 3 days, okay, after discharge. And of course, during delivery time, medical officers, ANM would work on this 45 points, train mothers. In fact, now they're also getting ANC mothers. So they're training ANC mothers even before they get delivered. Okay. And then I wanted to I wanted to have the target of 40 grams per day weight gain. Okay, because I wanted to see, because that's what they need to be on the same percentile, right? So then if children were not gaining 40 grams per day weight gain for 2 consecutive visits, we realized if they were getting, say, 30 to 40 grams, that means it was not a problem with mother, it was a problem with the counselor. Okay, so we said that, okay, now you go back again to mother, tell her about 45 points, again observe, do this, do that. Again, if baby gained less than 30 grams, that means baby is falling down already, and then we had to basically escalate. So then suppose this mother was trained by Asha, she will escalate to block facilitator, then medical officer. But we wanted somebody to be in charge, and that would be medical officers. Because in US, each and every child is followed by pediatrician. And in rural areas, if you don't have pediatrician, then it's a family physician who has 3 years training. Okay, postgraduate training. So I wanted to make sure that each child has some monitoring system where doctor is kind of looking after each and every child in that area. And if child, another thing what we also recommend is that 1 month of age, I wanted all these children picture taken with that weight, because a lot of time, data coming from field, we are not sure whether the data is correct or not. So we did that. And then if the child was gaining again 1 kg per month, then we said this is fine. But if they did not, then again they had to go back to the same monitoring system. So monitoring is very important in a program, because if you don't monitor, all the children will fall and you won't even realize. Okay, so this is the data. So one data, what we did, this children or this medical officers were trained on 26th, 27th of June. Okay, this is this in lockdown period. 27. This was again just a month, maybe month and few days. Okay, so we took all the children who turned 1 month of age. Okay, 1 month or at least 26 to 31 days, because obviously on that day, you know, few children were born, but we wanted to see that in 1 week, all these children who were born, we want to see what is their weight gain. Okay, because again, the weight gain was very important. So what we found that almost 60% of children had weight gain more than 30 grams per day on an average. Okay, 7%, almost 8% children had more than 60 grams a day, which is amazing, because even it's very difficult even in my program to see 60 grams per day weight gain. Okay, almost 25% children gain about more than 45 to 60 grams per day. Okay, I'm not talking about per kg per day, it's per day. Okay, over a period of 1 month. 40% children had less than 30 grams. So this 40% children are at risk of becoming underweight, probably SAN, and eventually stunting if we don't work hard on these babies. So do we know why we have 38% stunting? Because it's because of this. So our goal was to at least have a 30-gram weight gain, and then this children would do fine. Okay, this was coming from our data from FMCH. Okay, now what we did, we took children, so the previous children were basically from 26 to 31 days. This data, we wanted a lot of number high, like cohort, because these children were born a week or two later, right? So then we took all the children who came, who were basically, you know, more than 21 days. So starting from 3 week onward, we took all the children, and then of course the number increased. So now we have 154 children, and look at this, the week wise weight gain. Okay, so basically obviously the first week children have a little bit of weight loss, and also, you know, like a lot of this ANMs are learning, medical officers are learning, so it takes time. That learning curve takes time, you know, for 45 point to understand. But then as you see, week 2 average weight gain is 22 grams in all these children. Week 3 had 42 grams, 40 grams of weight gain, and week 4 had almost 42 grams of weight gain, which is amazing. This is amazing results. By 4 weeks of age, all these children are 42. That means mothers are already aware, they know it, what to do, you know. This is then what we did. We took children basically who came for at least 2 follow-ups. Or, you know, these are children which were born later on, so at least 2 or 3 follow-ups. And again, you know, in that you can see that such good amount of weight gain per day. You know, this is all block-wise data. So each block has, you know, we're monitoring each and every child. Okay, and the number was 311 children. Okay, so again, you know, looking at a lot of this data and following up these children, you know, what I feel that we need little bit of amendment in MAR guideline, because if we can do some amendment, I think it will help India to come off this malnutrition problem. So a lot of this, especially Maharashtra MAR guideline, has this, they have circulated this booklet to each and every medical officers and everybody, right? And over here in this, it says 1 year of age, every month 500 gram weight gain. Now, first thing, as you saw from your WHO growth chart, they do not grow in linear fashion. Have you seen any chart, any this thing going linear fashion up? All these children have predominant weight gain in first 3 months, then they slow down. By 6 months, it's only 250 gram per month, you know, and then by 1 year ke baad, it's only 125 gram per month. Okay, so then this is wrong. You cannot have every month 500 gram for whole 1 year of age. This is absolutely, this is not how children grow. Okay. Second thing is, when we do training of Anganwadi workers, when the first question we ask as part of pre-test, what should be the weight of the baby at birth? And almost everybody said 2.5 kg. So they target is like 2.5. So agar ek baar 2.5 kilo ka bachcha ho gaya, I mean, baby is fine. And that is the wrong concept we are putting in healthcare workers' head, ki 2.5 is normal. No, 2.5 is not normal. 3.2 for a girl and 3.3 is normal. That's average. So you have to teach them average weight, not just 2.5. Because at 2.5, child is already 3rd percentile. Child is already born small. You know, so this is important. Second thing, what all the healthcare workers, when we ask what should be the weight gain per month, all of them said 500 grams per month. Now, if you have a 500 gram weight gain per month, child will immediately go into malnutrition. I mean, they'll go into 15th and 3rd and less than 3rd percentile. Within 3 months, child will fall down. Okay, and if you have and this is a baby who is born normal, average 3.2. So if you have a 2.5 kg and if you're only increasing 500 grams, those children are going to go down within a month. Okay. Okay, so here again it says, is my baby getting enough milk? So if the child gains weight at least up to 500 grams every month, that means baby is getting enough milk. This is wrong. Because you saw in some of all of our babies, they're gaining 40 to 42 grams per day. So those children basically will achieve 500 grams within 10 to 12 days. So this is I don't. Okay, now ILA module amendment, I recommend basically doing amendment in ILA module also. So this is the ILA module. This is perfect. It shows that what should be the weight gain for boys, what should be the weight gain for girls. So if you look at it, at 0 month, this boy is 3.3, as I mentioned to you. Girl 3.2, perfect. At 3 months of age, they become almost double, 6.4. 5.8, amazing, really good. So this one is perfect. Okay, but if your child is not born 3.3, that means you need to have much more weight gain to catch up, because catch up is extremely important. Otherwise the children will stay stunted. Okay, but over here, see, this is again ILA module quiz activity 2. It says weight gain in first 3 months of life should be around 500 grams per month. Now if you have a 500 gram per month weight gain, I'll show you what happens. What would happen if a target weight gain is 500 grams? This is what happens. Okay, your baby is born perfect, boy child, 3.2, 3.3 gram a kilogram. Okay, 500 gram, 15th percentile, 500 gram, 3rd percentile, 500 gram, underweight. Okay, less than 3rd percentile, basically it goes into MUW, and then again, it will go down to probably SUW. Okay, so this 500 gram weight gain pata nahi kahan se aaya hai, but it's wrong. Okay, this is Sabarkantha. This is when Dr. Fancy was there. Once we started training all these medical officers, and a lot of them were trained using spoken tutorial. Okay, they all were trained. There were 4 videos there. Basically, they watched. They took exams. They took questionnaires. Okay, and right there you start seeing the results. This is NFHS4 data. Stunting rate is 51%, much higher than India level. India has 38%. Sabarkantha at 51%. But look at the weight gain. Birth weight 2.6 in 2 months, baby basically 4.8 just in 2 months. This one birth weight 2.2 kg in 3 months, baby triple the weight. Now in pediatrics we are taught double the weight gain at 5 months, triple the weight gain. वो रट्टा मारा है हम लोगों ने, रट्टा. It's called ratta. Without understanding, yes, they will double the weight at 5 months, not 5, 3.5 months, provided baby's birth weight is 3.3 kg. Okay, if you have a 3.3 kg boy, they will triple 9.9, around 9.5, 9.9 at 1 year of age. But how many children are born normal in India? So if you have a birth weight of 2.2, 2.6, and if I say triple the weight at 1 year of age, so at 1 year of age, if I get 6.6, so pediatricians are very happy. Oh, I triple the weight. So this is a wrong concept, which we are taught in pediatrics, and I think we need to change that concept. Here now, Banaskantha, again, we have created this WhatsApp group, and Dr. Shalu Chaudhary, I think she's there in this, and I would like her to talk a little bit about this, her experience, because she's managing this whole program in Banaskantha. These are very recent babies. Literally, we just got this photograph just last week. And birth weight, these are all the mothers who were taught cross-cradle technique just last month, on 27 June, that's when medical officers got trained. Birth weight 2.2 kg in 40 days, double the weight. Now, if you ask a pediatrician 40 days may double the weight, they will not believe it. But look at this, 4.3 kg double the weight. Birth weight 3 kg in 24 days, 4.4. So 58 grams a day, which is like, so you will have your 500 gram in just matter of 9 days, your children will have 500 gram weight gain. Okay, now this is a very good study which we kind of follow in US, all of us. This was sent by a neonatologist, and what the study is basically, it determines when you have a very low birth weight babies, okay, very low birth weight babies when they're born very small, some babies are, as per the gestational age, their weight is perfect. Okay, even though they are small, gestational age wise, suppose baby is born at 27 weeks or 28 weeks, but according to 28-week gestational age, the weight is fine for them. Some babies, as per gestational age, suppose they are born at 27 weeks, but their weight is much lower, means they are retarded. It's called small for gestational age. Okay, so what they did, basically they saw the children who were born appropriate for gestational age, if they did not catch up on growth, suppose they fell, okay, they fell and then they went below 10th percentile, which is minus 1.28 standard deviation, those children have a lower IQ. But babies who were born small for gestational age, matlab they did not grow well in the womb, but after the delivery, if baby caught up on their weight gain, so if they caught up say by 9 months, 1 year, and at 2 years of age when they checked, the mental IQ was higher. Okay, it was higher than the babies who were born appropriate for gestational age. So what basically this paper says that you need to have the course of postnatal growth is much more important than your IUGR or your whatever that you're born with. So even AGA babies, we have to make sure that they don't falter, because if they falter, their IQ will be lower. So this is a very good paper which was published in 2003. So in US, they are very particular that there should not be growth faltering. And here in India, unfortunately, most of the babies falter. And this is the Health Spoken tutorial that basically all these people are trained using Health Spoken tutorial, because for one person or two people to basically carry this message to everybody, it's extremely difficult, very, very difficult. So here with the help of Professor Kannan, and I don't know, I think it was just probably, just God connects the right people. So I really needed a platform to kind of pass on this message, and he really gave us this platform where we are creating like multiple videos in different languages, so that even the girl who is, or a young woman who is having a baby and she doesn't know what to do in rural areas or tribal areas where there are no consultants, she can just look at those videos and understand what to do with those. So here so far we have made 40 tutorials on MIYCF, on nutrition also, and basically those are 10 minutes long audio video tutorial, and it has basically running commentary, so there's nothing written, so even an illiterate mother or family can understand what we're trying to say. And when you have, suppose, like a crying baby in your hand, okay, and you know that there is some issue that the latch baby is not able to latch, and when you run this video, you know exactly where you're going wrong. So every time when mother saw our videos, when they were in problem or when they were in trouble, the baby is not latching on, most of the time they got the issue. They understood what the problem was. They immediately realized, oh, the way she puts a finger is wrong. Oh, the way she brings the child, it's wrong. So this way, what I've noticed that this works really well with mothers, because they can solve the problem looking at those videos. Okay, so this is our series. This all basically we have shown that who all can be trained using this tutorials. This is our website. There are all these different channels. This is YouTube channel actually, sorry, and this is the English channel, Tamil channel. We have all these different languages. And this is in my slum clinic. You can see it was a paperless, because I was so used to using electronic medical record in US that I didn't want any paper. So we got the Salesforce, and I was putting data immediately in my laptop. And this all the babies, some of my babies, 11-month-old, 5-month-old, 4-month-old. But thanks to these babies that have learned growth monitoring, IYCF, I was not trained at all in pediatric medicine. So whatever I've learned from these children. So it's important that we pass it back to them, because it will really help them to grow well. Okay, thank you. Any question? Any?
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such an insightful and informative presentation as usual. Not only you emphasize on building the theoretical knowledge, but also illustrate through practice that how effective counseling on proper latching and work wonders for promoting child's growth. So if you allow, we'll take few questions from the audience.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I'll just read out the questions and you can answer those. So yeah, there's a question from Professor Umesh Khurana that counseling pick 20 is important, I think on your slide. The areola rests on the baby's tongue with nipple touching the palate. This stimulates the physiology of waves of sucking, leading to adequate milk transfer and weight gain. Your comments?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. He's right. So that's why the focus on lower areola, you know.
Okay. There's a question from Shruti. If the child has fallen down from the growth chart and later if you provide sufficient nutrients to that child, what is the average period in which you can see any positive effect on the weight?
Okay, so if child came under 3 months, excellent result, you know. But as child came a little bit later, and as you saw in growth chart, it takes much longer, right? So when I post a lot of this growth chart, you could see that earlier we could bring the child up, you know, say 1 month, 2 months, much faster to gain weight. So it's all about when you start helping mothers. So I recommend ANC. ANC is the best time to teach this technique, because you know what happens, I'll tell you. Okay, these are again my own experiences with my mothers in slums. A lot of these mothers, we had trained them during before delivery. In ANC time, we used to take about 16 lectures, sessions, pregnancy club we used to call it. In every session, we would teach them one topic of nutrition and other red flags and breastfeeding techniques and everything. So we used to prepare her before she would go to hospital, right? Because most of these mothers went to municipal hospital or charitable hospital like Wadia Hospital. So many mothers, this is one example I'm giving. So one mother was prepared, okay, and her mother-in-law was working with us as a field officer, okay. So she went to Wadia Hospital. Mother had a C-section, okay. So doctor said, no, this is C-section, we have to start formula. But she already knew what to do even if she had C-section. So mother-in-law and mother fought with doctors. What doctors did, they took a written document that you have to sign it if anything happens with the baby, we are not responsible. Can you imagine? You know, your mother is really aware of techniques. Mother-in-law is aware of techniques, but doctors are pushing. But because they were aware, you know, they signed the paper and they say, yeah, if anything happens, we are responsible for our own baby. So that empowerment of pregnant mothers is extremely important, you know. And then of course, I mean, if you miss that delivery time, or if you miss that this thing, you can start teaching them mothers as soon as you see them, you know, but earlier the better.
So next question we have from Varsha Nayak. Why do you feel length for age is better than weight for age, with weight gain length also has been found to increase?
Of course. So under 6 months, weight is absolutely important, because I know that if baby is breastfeeding weight, I mean, it's easy to even do weight check, no? So difficult to do length check every time, right? So for first 6 months, we focus on weight, but after 6 months, I focus a lot on length. You know why? Guess why? Okay, because what happens? Yeah, tell me.
Because the complementary feeding starts, and then like the nutrients that are given outside.
Yes. Yeah. Because they start giving junk food. So when you start giving junk food, what's going to happen? You know, they will not get the nutrients which are required for growth. So they won't get the growth nutrients. You know, they'll get all this energy dense food like, you know, junk food, fried food, you know, sugary food. So then they will put on weight. It's not that they won't put on weight, but the length will not grow. So I know immediately that, okay, this child is not, because after 6 months, length is very important, I feel, you know. So I do monitor length properly. But as you saw, that first 6 months, as weight was going up, length was going up too, you know. So at under 6 months, I'm not worried too much about length.
Yeah. She also has a comment to make that sadly, during trainings, health workers are informed by health officers on 2.5 kg weight as normal.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's the benchmark. It's like 500 gram weight gain is a benchmark. Similarly, 2.5 kilogram is the benchmark.
Can I come in?
Yes, sir.
I think it is important from what you are saying to come up with some kind of a message saying 2.5 kg आपको बताता है कि बच्चा पास है या फेल है. Well, no, I
Correct.
mean, I won't use the term fail, but 2.5 kg is not first division.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
think somewhere we have to bring in that concept that 2.5 kg
Yeah.
says that the child is not low birth weight.
Yeah. Yeah.
मतलब पास कर गया बच्चा एग्जाम में
Yes.
लेकिन वो फर्स्ट डिवीजन
Yeah.
नहीं मिला. So I think
Equal.
you may think about it. And can I, out of turn, announce something with Ayushi's permission?
Sure, sir.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting outcome of our campaign was some behind the stage lobbying with NDDB. And I had requested NDDB, if NDDB does promotion of breastfeeding and colostrum feeding for the first 6 months of a child, a lot of people will be very surprised and will also be very happy that NDDB is taking up this cause. And I just got a letter from NDDB saying that we have taken it up in a big way on our Facebook, Twitter, etc., etc. And they have also picked up our slogan ki immunity ka devdoot, maa ka pehla gaadha doodh. And they are also picking up the other one, immunity ka devardhan, 6 mahine tak sirf stanpan. So,
Excellent.
I must congratulate all the students for pushing us into this campaign. So, and I thought this good news at a presentation.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing this piece of information. Yeah. So, ma'am, there's another question from Professor Umesh Khurana that what is your experience with babies with birth weight less than 2 kgs? And he compliments you for excellent presentation on the latching skills.
Yeah. So again, KMC is very important, as he mentioned. KMC, and in fact, to increase mother's breast milk supply, one of the most important points is KMC. So when you do KMC, not only baby get warmth, but the milk supply increases, and even baby wants to latch on more frequently. So and even like the other day, I had put one picture of 1.5 kg, and gaining in 4 months, baby gained from 1.5 kg to 5.5 kg. So even the small baby, if their mothers are taught proper latching, they can get 1 kg a month, like easily, So this is important, basically, KMC and then latching. Cross-cradle hold works very well for small babies. So that is another thing. Small babies, or even the hypotonic babies, when they don't have proper tone, in cross-cradle, you can have a full body support very well.
Yeah. So there's a question from Roshni that what is the right time to train? I'll also club this question with question of Pushpa, who asked what are the ways for weight gain, please? So there are two questions. What is the right time to train and what are the ways for weight gain?
So right time to train is ANC. Actually, what I would recommend? Right time to train in college days. Because like if you are empowered, you can help so many other mothers, right? And by the time you become so expert, so when your time comes and you know everything. So I would recommend that. I think each and every, it's like how we were learning math, English, science, and this is a life skill. It's breastfeeding is a life skill, complementary feeding is a life skill. Your child's IQ is dependent on that. So I think it's important that it becomes like a compulsory subject. It's like a life skill. So as early as possible. And second question, what is the second question? Weight?
The ways for weight gain. I think you have addressed that, but yeah, ways for weight gain of a child. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So yeah. I mean, weight gain in the sense that how to monitor or when to monitor.
I think the question was just that what are the ways to weight gain for the weight gain of a child, for gaining weight of a child?
45 points.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll go to the next question. The question is from Ashwarya Gautam. She's asking, I wanted to ask if a child was born with, if the child was born with severely low weight, for example, 1.5 kg, how long would it take to get him back to the normal condition, assuming that the mother is regularly breastfeeding the child, providing KMC, and taking proper precautions to maintain hygiene?
Right. So for example, if you take the latest child that we had presented, so that child was 1.5 kg, right? So way below third percentile. And then basically child was getting 1 kg a month. So by 4 months, child was already 5.5 kg. Now, if you look at the weight gain per month, your 1 month is 4.2, your second month is 5.2, So again, he will catch up. He will keep gaining 1 kg a month, and he will catch up by 6 months for sure. So it all basically depends. He could have gained a little bit more also, because now he's much stronger, so then he will gain some more. But again, these 45 points are so powerful that, these children, they just gain, I think they probably can double the amount because so many of them are gaining 60 grams a day, so that's a pretty good. And another thing is, there are a lot of pediatricians who may think that, oh, Barker's hypothesis, and what if children gain too much of weight? But just the recent study which came out, which I kind of sent it to Sir and Dripta, and it showed that children who were gaining rapid weight, breastfed children versus formula fed children, at 1 year of age, they checked the obesity. So children who were formula fed, they were becoming obese, and the children who were breastfed, even though they were having a rapid weight gain, there was no obesity at 1 year of age, right? Because again, if you look at the breast milk, it's perfectly made, nature's made, gaining amazing height, amazing. So these children were not increasing in BMI. As I showed you those growth charts, right? Their weight and length were going equally up. So they were becoming lean and tall, while formula fed babies were becoming more weight, less length. So then BMI was high, and that's what they kind of documented at 1 year of age. So, and again, those children who are gaining weight on breast milk, they will have less risk of diabetes, blood pressure, cancer, so many things. So I think, I don't think we should worry about the weight gain and especially now, because we have 40 to 45% children who are undernourished. In fact, we should bring them up, and at 6 months, then we have to worry about we don't have to worry too much about the complementary feeding. I mean, of course, it is important, but at least we won't have so much of dip, as Sir says, that, because there's a kind of a lot of children, their growth falter after 6 months of age, which is true, because we saw that initially in first 4-5 years, even though you could bring them up a little bit, but at 6 months, the children would stay steady. So if child would say 6 kg, they will say 6 kg till 9 months, 10 months, 11 months, Again, we had to work on the complementary feeding also, which we sometime will take. I'll take that lecture again sometime, that what problems we face at complementary feeding stage,
Your next question is from Zia. Your thoughts on RUTF and EDNRF for treatment of SAM children?
Actually, I'm quite against sugar and oil, So if any food which is high in sugar, it is going to cause metabolic derangement. Okay, so an oil which is omega-6 loaded oil, again, is going to cause a lot of inflammation. It's going to cause problem with gut microbiome. It's going to cause a lot of issues. So a lot of time, what we did when SAM child came to us, and if they were not complicated, we started giving them eggs. We started giving them food which is nutrient dense. So the amount was not much, little bit, but they started getting amazing weights. So I feel that, we can do it with like home cooked food, or, even food which kind of does not have so much of sugar and oil. If we can make something which, as per WHO criteria, we don't need to have a simple sugars, or we don't need to have fructose in that, we can have a complex carbohydrate. We can make some recipes which mothers can make it at home, or self-help group can make it at home. You know what I mean? But yes, we have a lot of SAM children. So we have to do something about them. We can't just leave them alone. But yeah, why not give them something which is healthy? So that's important.
So next question is from Urmimala Barua. That, madam, in spite of so much efforts on the part of the government and the health workers to eradicate the problem of malnutrition, still remains a major concern till date. What is the reason for this?
Because mothers, not only mothers, healthcare workers, everybody that I have come in touch with, they had no clue about proper breastfeeding techniques, because if we can just teach them important points of, fingers parallel to lips, all that, lower areolar latch, keep baby close to, you saw how babies were growing. I mean, you saw all those growth charts. So, and it was a learning curve for us. It took us 5 years to learn. Okay. So rather than now reinventing the wheel and wondering why babies are not growing, which I was wondering for first 5 years, now you know what works. So just kind of implement in the program and you will see the result, just like how Dr. Fancy is doing. You know, he's showing all his results by just our spoken tutorial videos. So I think that's important, you know.
Yeah, there's a question from Jasmine Braggs that at times for low birth weight babies, MCT oil is prescribed as supplementation for weight gain. So is that healthy for a baby?
You know, like, yeah, a lot of pediatricians recommend MCT oil, but I have never used MCT oil on any babies. The best MCT, you know, breast milk has so much of medium chain triglyceride. It's amazing. It's loaded. So you work on the latching now. Let the baby get MCT from mother's milk. Why to add extra thing? So work on the latch and you're fine. This 1.5 kg baby did not get any MCT oil. Yeah. So that's what I feel. Rather than giving a lot of this external support, if you just focus on the technicality, I think you will manage a lot of these low birth weight babies.
So there's a question from Professor Narendra Shah that Dr. Rupal, on a lighter side, like Akshay Kumar film had to spread awareness about SN, sanitary napkins, can there be another film on breastfeeding to spread awareness?
Yeah. I'm looking for a producer.
Yeah. So he's also asking that if the answer is yes, let us start looking for a producer. So he'll help you out.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I think let us stop here on the lighter note. Thank you so much, ma'am. I think we'll not take much of your valuable time now. If you wish to stay for the next session, you're most welcome. Else, you can, if you have further engagement, there's no issue.
Yeah, you know, Ayushi, is Dr. Shalu there, or she's left? Because I wanted Shalu to just talk about her experience in the field, because right now she's been working in Banaskantha, and this project is under her. So if she's there, I would like her to just say maybe a few lines of what is her experience, you know, training all these medical officers and ANMs. But if she is not there, that's fine. But I would like to stay because Dipali and myself, we are working together for so many years, and I have to be there.
Yeah, you're most welcome, ma'am.
So, sir is there. Yeah, Ayushi. Dr. Fancy is here. Can he speak for some time? Dr. Fancy.
Dr. Fancy.
Yeah. Just unmute your mic. Unmute your mic, Dr. Fancy. So
sorry,
he's the hero.
No, myself is not hero, but team is hero.
So, Dr. Fancy, you please tell us your experience. Tell us your experience, how it has been in Sabarkantha and how it has been in Banaskantha. Because it's one thing for us to come up with a policy, come up with ye karo, wo karo, but how is it to implement in the field and show this remarkable results? I mean, you're just showing amazing results. So just help us, guide us.
When I heard first time name from the Dr. Sagar Panchal, who is a colleague of Dr. Rupal Dalal ma'am, in February 2019, at that time, what is the technique? Actually, we are in government, you do some support with just important in breastfeeding. That time I don't know about this latching time. Actually, I have heard first time this latching, and I have heard also discussed with Dr. Mehta, who is the neurologist at national level forum. So he told me about that latching score, but not understood properly. So once I met Dr. Rupal in March 2019, at that time I first come that latching is something important thing, and when she said 10 videos with me, at that time I choose 4 videos among them for my public health purpose: sideline, latching, cross cradle, and laid back. These 4 videos more important. And as Madam said that we have to teach these videos to the ANC mothers during ANC time, and because of that. We have first trained our FAW also, even ASA also, even staff nurse, those who are engaged in the delivery point at government side, and later to the ANC method. And for that, we actually, one PHC has 30,000 population and around 700 ANC, delivery taking place during year time. So around 60 ANC, 60 delivery taken place at, per month. So we divided month in 7 to 8 parts. So every Monday on Tuesday, Monday and Thursday, first, second, third, fourth, we call the 10 to 12 mothers to the PHC level. And for that, there is one TV available at PHC level, which is kept at waiting room area. So we shifted this room TV to the one ward where the only mothers and only ANC mother can learn about the things without any disturbances, and FAW accompany with them. And after the completion of these 4 videos, this latching, cross cradle, sideline, and laid back, again, if any doubt, that can be clear with talk with concerned PHCMO and IUCMO. And there is also practical demo with this breastfeeding model, breast model, and that one Gudia, this doll, small doll, available with the FAW and MO. They can practically demo that thing with this ANC mother. So even breast model available, so that even male doctor can explain very well. Initially, we feel shy that how can we hold this breast and how can we show this to the mother, but ultimately they totally remove this type of shy and something. With ANC mother, they can easily talk with mothers, and after counseling with the mother, and even during after delivery, if the staff nurse is also trained, even the MO is also trained, then they can easily give confidence to the mothers. Those who already counseled during ANC period, they can easily catch up this thing, and we can implement in easy way, as the madam says that 45 points are also easy to understand. Even initially we can think that what are the 45 points, but once you mark up, it's so much easy to understand and easy to explain to the concerned mothers.
Okay. And Dr. Fancy, we just presented your data of 1-month-old children, you know, that they came in last 1 month after the training, and that results are just remarkable. So I really congratulate to you to monitor all this, each and every baby, and also the whole Sitara department is with you, because, you know, if you can kind of have one district where you really reduce your stunting, wasting, underweight, under 1 year of age, even up to 2 years of age, I mean, the whole India is looking at you. Really, I'm telling you.
My team is with me. Actually, Dr. Saluben is here. Taslim Ben is here to listen to you actually.
So, but thank you, Satish sir. Professor Satish, would you like to ask anything to that how difficult it is for him to manage at a district level?
No. That I think he knows better. So we will probably have to figure out how this can become a scalable template. But that I think I'll take up with Dr. Fancy separately. Because end of the day, seeing is believing. And so let us see whether the fancy virus catches other people's hard disks.
Yes. Yes.
So
And
Dr. Fancy, I think you should be ready for that.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. And thank you so much, Dr. Fancy, for sharing your experience. I wish that Sabarkantha becomes a role model district in Banaskantha district becomes a role model district for promoting effective latching techniques. So we'll proceed towards the pre-recorded session. Today in the pre-recorded session, we'll be listening to the experiences shared by Ms. Dipali Fargade. She'll be complementing Dr. Rupal's talk on the topic of latching and hold, and will also take us through the 45 points on proper breastfeeding techniques. Ms. Dipali Fargade is a nutritionist by profession and holds a postgraduate degree in dietetics. She has more than 16 years of experience in the domain of nutrition in Maharashtra. Currently, she is serving as Department Head of Health and Nutrition in Srimati Malati Dhanukar Trust and has been working for more than 8 years as a master trainer of IYCF. She has trained more than 2,000 frontline healthcare officers, Anganwadi workers, ASHA, masters in social work workers, and nutritionists from government and many NGOs all over India. So unfortunately, due to time constraint, we won't be able to take questions for the pre-recorded session, but we are requesting you to put your queries regarding the session in the chat box, and the speaker is kindly requested to respond to those as per her convenience.